Welcome to the City Current Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Park. We're always honored to bring you inspiring stories of individuals and organizations making a difference, empowering the good. And in this case, we're talking about law school. We're honored to be joined by Bill Koch. He's the president and dean of the Nashville School of Law. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Jeremy. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So let's start with a little bit of history, a long history and legacy, over 100 years. So give us a little bit of history for the Nashville School of Law.
Absolutely. Delighted to do it. We've been around since 1911. We're one of about 30 law schools started by the YMCA. And the purpose that the YMCA started these schools was to give working men and women an opportunity to get a law degree. The YMCA was a little worried that the law education was simply being provided to people who were wealthy, and they wanted to make sure that there was diversity. We are one of the two remaining freestanding YMCA schools. The other one's in Birmingham, Alabama. The rest of them have been assimilated into universities or have closed. And we're very proud of the fact that we're provide a very unique educational opportunity in the southeastern part of the United States.
Absolutely. I love that you're a nonprofit. I love that it's night classes. It's flexible. Like when you look at what you're doing in the model, I love everything you're doing to make it affordable, to make it easy, to make it convenient, and to give people a chance, just like you're talking about, especially the working class individuals, to further their education. And so talk about the structure, because it's night classes. It's a cool model. So talk about the structure.
Sure. We have always taught night classes. We don't have any day classes because working men and women are juggling their families, they're juggling their work, but they come out here for 4 years to earn their degree. The first 2 years, it's 2 nights a week. The last 2 years, it's 3 nights a week. They commute from Memphis. They commute from Tri-Cities. We've got 10 or 12 students coming from Chattanooga right now. So they drive hundreds of miles to start school at 6:30 at night. Our last class ends at 10 o'clock. They get in their cars and they drive home. So they're really committed to doing this. This is not kind of a off-the-shelf, why don't I go to law school sort of idea. Many of these people have been working to get their stars aligned so they could do this.
When you look at the individuals who are applying, obviously coming from a wide variety of backgrounds, cities, just like you're talking about, but these are business owners, they're accountants, they're talk about, in other words, where they're coming from, their different degree programs coming in. So talk about kind of the variety of the students stepping in.
Well, you're right. We do have a lot of business owners who have been very successful in their business. We've actually got a fairly significant number of nurses, fairly significant number of doctors, not so many accountants, some. I think that most lawyers are numbers averse, so accounting and the law don't fit, although we do offer an accounting for lawyers course. But I think what characterizes our students is that for most of them, nothing's ever been given to them. They've had to work for it. They know that if you're going to succeed, you have to have focus, you have to have tenacity, and you have to have commitment. And our students do. They do not feel entitled. They look on this as an opportunity to change their lives and to fulfill a dream that some of them have had for decades.
When you look at going through and having your JD, talk about the power of law school, because I think it's not that these individuals all want to necessarily go into the career field of law. It's that they want to be smarter, more savvy. When you talk about dealing, especially in healthcare, with all the contracts and things like that, and as a business owner, being smarter about the contracts that you sign and knowing what's going in and thinking ahead, talk about the power of having a law degree.
Well, studying law is intended, among other things, to teach you some law. So some legal principles, like you're talking about contracts or torts or those sort of things. But underlying all of it is to help them learn a skill that we call critical legal thinking. It's the idea that you can assimilate information, you can separate what's irrelevant from relevant, you can very succinctly identify the issues that are going on, and then you can apply the law that you know to those facts in a coherent, logical way and come up with a predictable outcome.
When you look at your team, talk about your team and their expertise and also the student to teacher ratio.
Well, our team, our staff, again, we're very lean because we're trying to keep our costs down. So our actual staff is basically 7.5 FTEs, including me. And they have been with us for years and years. Our associate dean has been with the school for over 35 years. They're very committed. We're all multitaskers. We all know how to use the copying machine and answer the phone. Occasionally, we know how to use the vacuum cleaner when we have to. So we do a little bit of everything. But the driver of our school is our faculty. And public surveys that we've done, not only among the bench and bar, but also among the public, when we ask them, what do they think the biggest asset of our school is, they say it's the faculty. Right now, we have 53 adjunct faculty. They're all practicing lawyers or judges. They have a very strong experience in the fields that they teach. But it's not just an academic knowledge, it is a practical how to apply this knowledge. So for example, our professor for wills literally wrote the book on wills in Tennessee that most lawyers go to figure out what to do. Our instructor in evidence is a criminal law judge who can come into class and not just talk theoretically how the hearsay rule works. He can tell them how it was applied that morning in class. So we have a great faculty that balances the experience and the theoretical, and you don't find that a lot of places.
What has your attention when you look at some of the changing dynamics? And, just like you're talking about, you have the precedent, the historical precedent, but then it's like, okay, how is it applied today? And so, it's an evolution. It's a constant evolution. And so what has your attention when you talk about the trends, the field of law? What are some of the things that have your attention right now in terms of looking forward?
Well, as you say, there's an old expression, may you live in interesting times, and we are certainly living in interesting times right now. And it does require, I wouldn't say it requires some creativity, but it really requires an ability to predict the direction that things are going. And one of the most accurate ways to predict where things are going is to know how they got to where they are, because then you can kind of triangulate a band of possible directions that things are going into. So part of what our job is as instructors out here at the Nashville School of Law is to give people a firm footing in where things were, why they were that way, what's changing. And it's an incremental thing. It's not going to necessarily change overnight, but it's to give them an idea so they can predict. Now, they're not always going to be right. It's like predicting the weather. You're not going to be 100% right, but you're going to be in the ballpark. And that's the important thing.
What are the requirements for students in terms of the application process? What are the things that students who say, hey, this sounds amazing. What do they need to start doing to put their house in order to be prepared?
Right. Well, our entry requirements mirror the requirements that the Board of Law Examiners has to take the bar exam and become a lawyer. Because unless someone is coming here with no plans on practicing law, it makes little sense to admit someone who would not be able to sit for the bar exam. But we're very flexible. We have two basic requirements. One is we expect our students to take the LSAT. The second thing is that we expect them, it's necessary that they graduate from a recognized undergraduate program. Now, Many schools have a minimum GPA. Many schools have a minimum LSAT score. We don't have hard minimums. We have a target, but we're much more interested in what people have been doing with themselves since they graduated from college. And we'll have some people. Matter of fact, right now, our oldest student is 74 years old. It's been a while since he's been in college. He's had a life since he graduated from college. As he told me when we were considering admitting him, he said, I had a lot of fun in college. I wasn't really that interested in studies. So my GPA isn't all that good, but here's what I've done. And his experience has shown that he has tenacity. He is able to think. He is serious-minded about it. So we'll admit people that other law schools would not, because the other law schools set high minimum threshold requirements because their attrition rate, their graduation rate, is something that the U.S. News and World Report rankings look at. And if your attrition rate's too high, you get marked down. We tell our people, you're here to succeed, but with every chance of success comes a chance of failure. So if you work hard, you'll succeed here. If you don't, you won't. And so we don't worry about the attrition rate, but we do tell them, if you think you'd be more comfortable going to an accredited law school and you have the ability to take 3 years out of your life to do it full time, then that's what you should do. Or you can come here and your hard work will dictate your success.
When you look at, you've got obviously the in-classroom piece of this, but outside, what do you tell prospective students in terms of kind of setting aside the extra time to do the study, the research, all of those necessary pieces? What does that kind of look like on your end in terms of holistically with the commitment?
Well, one of the things we tell them in the admission process and during orientation is if they're married, if they don't have 100% support of their family, they ought to wait until they do, because the families are going through this the same way they are. They may be the ones at school, but the family is taking up the slack. So that's number one. Number two, we do talk to them on the front end and throughout school about the pressure and wellness and work-life balance. And we actually have speakers that come in to help them figure out how to manage their time, how to budget their resources that they have. We give them techniques to be able to calm things down. And we think that's really important, because if in fact they're going to practice law, they're going to need to develop some work-life balance, because it's not just the saying the law can be a jealous mistress and it can suck up all your time, but there's more to life than just the practice of law. Now, the other thing we tell them is that we are a service business, and lawyers have clients. They have fiduciary obligations to their clients. Honesty is important. Candor is important. And matter of fact, on the first day of their orientation program, the first day they're here at this school as a student, we ask them to take what we call a professionalism oath. And a member of the Tennessee Supreme Court joins us. 115 of them will raise their hand. They will take the professionalism oath. And we will then give them the hard copy of that oath with their signature and the judge's signature. And it's a reminder to them that they've chosen a path that is very important, and they will be serving their clients, not the other way around.
Yeah. When you look at the community support, talk about how the community can help your efforts. Obviously, raising awareness for the opportunity is a piece of that, but how else can the community help?
We are always looking for volunteers in our trial practice programs to be jurors. We love to have folks that come out here and watch our students try cases. We certainly do offer public events from time to time, and we view ourselves as a community resource, so they're welcome to come to those. We are always welcoming people that want to give us money for scholarships, even though we do have a very good, we think, price value comparison. Some of our students are still hard pressed to make ends meet. Most of them pay by the month. Any little scholarships help folks, and we probably give scholarships to about 25% of our active students just to help, take the edge off of it. So donations are always helpful.
Absolutely. Wrap up with contact information. So website, where do we go to learn more and get involved?
Well, you can find our website at www.nsl.law. We've got all kinds of social media connections. Since I don't use social media myself, I can't give you all those locations. You can certainly call us at 615-256-3684, or you can email me at bill.koch@nsl.law.
Absolutely. So website again, nsl.law, and then on social media, Facebook and Instagram, Nashville School of Law, and then on Twitter, Nash School of Law. So Bill, thank you for all you and your amazing team do. Thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.